The laughter started too loud for a Monday. It skittered over glass walls and polished wood, the kind of sound people make when they're trying to belong. Someone stared into a paper cup. Someone else performed a chuckle. At the head of the table, the man who enjoyed being the head of every table grinned as if he'd just donated humor to the needy. "Let's be honest," he said, voice bright. "She's our brand mascot. A pretty face sells better than any ad campaign." The room obliged him. Laughter flared, died, then lingered like the smell of a blown-out match. "My name is Melissa Harper, 36, and in that moment, I wanted to zip myself into my blazer and disappear between the seams." Behind him, a slide glowed. "Nova Retail Campaign. ROI +4 12%. Those numbers were mine. Segmentation rebuilt from scratch, 27 micro-campaigns, churn down 63%, retention stabilized at 56%. 6 months of spreadsheets that hummed instead of shouted. 6 months of work that didn't need a face. No one looked at the data. They looked at me. Mark lifted a hand as if we were in on the same joke. "Relax," he said. "She knows I'm teasing. Melissa's charm is half our success story." Half. I aligned my pen with the edge of the legal pad because control, when stolen from your mouth, often retreats to your fingertips. A tube of lipstick sat beside my laptop, crimson proof, shade Darrow 9. I rolled it into my palm, felt cool metal against skin, and imagined the sound it would make if I set it down just a little too hard. Afterward, the clients shook hands, full of porcelain politeness. In the doorway, Mark gave me a mentor's smile. "Don't take it personally. You looked gorgeous up there." "Of course," I said. "We all love a joke." When the room emptied, the city glittered beyond the glass. I watched my reflection hover in the black monitor, hair pinned back, shoulders level, mouth neutral, and opened Nova's meeting recording. Their camera caught everything. I scrubbed to the line that made the room laugh and watched my own face not move. A public humiliation, preserved in HD. I saved the clip under a plain name, Red Dowstein. I slipped the lipstick into my bag. If he wanted charm to carry the story, I'd finish it with proof. The office looked the same the next morning. Open floor, fake plants, badges that worked on the second try. But the air had weight. People avoided my eyes. Some had liked our corporate post on LinkedIn. Mark's smile, my shadow, teamwork and charisma, Brightleaf's secret sauce. I wondered which word they thought I was. "Rough morning?" Hannah asked, dropping a blueberry muffin onto my desk like a small edible vote. Hannah Kim, copy-turned-analyst with a camera trap memory for numbers, lowered her voice. "Everyone thought he sounded like an idiot," she whispered. Everyone still laughed. "Because he signs paychecks," she said. "You sign results," her phone buzzed. A second later, mine did too. Micro message number 1. Don't let him shrink you. We saw the numbers. They're yours. HI stared at the message until the screen dimmed. Silence is camouflage until it isn't. That week was a slow boil. Mark sent me into meetings to nod. He cut me off mid-sentence and rephrased my points as his instinct. He introduced me as our creative genius in front of clients and not a team player behind doors. "Details bore people," he said, changing the slide when I mentioned validation. "Faces close deals." 6 months earlier, when 2 accounts bled out, I'd rebuilt our funnel. 27 targeted campaigns, retention levers recalibrated, churn down 63%. The math didn't smile for cameras. It fixed problems. It would have stayed performance art if he hadn't touched the numbers. On a Wednesday fogged with overhead light, I opened Nova's renewal deck and paused. ROI, 542%. Engagement, +73%. Record-breaking retention, I blinked. My original, saved 2 days earlier, showed 412% ROI and 56% retention. Strong, real, not magic. He'd rewritten entire charts, altered date ranges, deleted my spend note. I opened file history. The timestamp blinked like a pulse, modified by Mark Sullivan, 11:42 p.m., March 26th. Right after he told me to Go home and rest. I took a screenshot. Then another. The edit logs, the diffs, the PDFs, the checksum exports. A folder inside a folder. Red 209. Layer 2. My phone rang from an unlisted number. Melissa. This is Karen from the board. Karen Lee, the COO with the patience of an auditor and the eyes of a long winter. People said she hadn't smiled since 2012. I'd seen her do it once. It looked expensive. I'm calling off record, she said. Nova's procurement flagged a report showing ROI over 500. Did that come from you? No, I didn't think so. Don't change your files. Keep everything. I'll handle board politics. You handle proof. The line clicked off. For the first time since the joke, I didn't feel small. I felt awake. That evening, the building emptied at 9 like a polite tide. In the half-dark, I exported both versions to my drive, his and mine. I wrote a note in a plain text file. He builds lies from confidence. I'll build truth from receipts. I slid the USB into my notebook. The little red cap winked once like a heartbeat. Outside, rain tapped a rhythm that sounded like a metronome for patience. I went home, put water on the stove, and called my mother because memory had a better bedside manner than caffeine. You sound tired, she said. In the background, the soft clink of an old saucepan. A radio murmuring weather like gossip. I'm fine. No. You sound like someone pretending that fine is a finish line. She waited the way people do when they respect both your mind and your breath. He made a joke about me, I said, in front of clients. Then he faked numbers using my name. She set the spoon down. I could hear it. And you're still there because I built the work they're selling. She was not a woman of wasted syllables. Then stop arguing and start preparing. I laughed once without humor. Mom, he's the CEO. And you're the proof, she said. Beauty fades. Receipts don't. We'd said it before as a joke. It didn't feel like one now after we hung up. I made a list on a yellow pad. Secure data.contact counsel. Wait for audit. Don't flinch. I underlined the fourth twice. He breezed in the next morning with espresso and decimals. Nova loved the deck, he said, voice pitched to triumph. We're close to renewal. Rework the forecast. Make next quarter look like it can double. Investors love momentum. Mark, I said, forecasts are grounded in spend and conversion. We can't promise what we can't deliver. He rotated his Mont Blanc like a coin trick. You worry too much. It's marketing, not math. It's both. His smile thinned. Be a team player, Melissa. When I say polish, I don't mean argue. The phrase landed like a compliment wrapped around a collar. I left his office and added one line to my note. 314. Verbal request to alter forecast. Undeliverable. I read it back to myself as if it belonged to someone else and realized it already did. To future me. To the person who would have to testify about the past. By afternoon, a calendar invite appeared. Leadership sync, 9 guys a.m., Karen included. I slept for 4 hours and woke up precise. At 9, Mark opened with the swagger of a man who had never learned to whisper. Team, Nova's thrilled. ROI 542. Engagement. Mark, Karen said. Those numbers don't match Nova's. He smiled. Cumulative year over year. No. She shared her screen. 2 dashboards side by side. Brightleaf internal and Nova verified. His, inflated, missing timestamps. Mine, raw, boring, true. There must be a sync issue, he offered. There isn't, I said. Silence adjusted itself around the call. Karen didn't look at him. Melissa Originals? Yes. I plugged in Red 09. The light pulsed. Lines of metadata marched across the screen, modified by Mark Sullivan. Modified by Mark Sullivan. Modified? That's clear enough, Karen said. She's twisting this, he snapped. Enough, she said, and the room obeyed like a reflex. We'll take it to the board. He left with the fast, flat steps of someone who has just found out the door is heavier when you pull it yourself. The news arrived 2 days later. HR used full names and verbs with bones. Subject: suspension pending investigation. Mark Sullivan. Below it, acting head of marketing strategy, Melissa Harper. Relief didn't feel like confetti. It felt like air returning to rooms that had been standing very still. He wasn't done. Men like Mark don't retire their reflection in the glass. Final audit was scheduled for next week. Nova's routine cross-check, suddenly weaponized by rumor. He was reinstated in limited capacity, language that sounded like a leash if you'd ever worn one. I prepared quietly. I cleaned the file hierarchy I could touch and map the one I couldn't. I printed out edit, logs, and slid them into a plain folder labeled Red 09. I wrote down names of people who'd seen what I'd seen and underlined, the ones who might still tell the truth aloud. Went to the cafe 2 blocks from the office, the one with reliable Wi-Fi and music that refused to hurry you, and drafted a note to an ethics lawyer I'd met at a conference. Subject: Inquiry, Data Misrepresentation, Guidance Only. I believe my CEO submitted falsified data to a client using files bearing my name. I'm not seeking a lawsuit. I need advice on documentation and protection. MHI didn't send it yet. It's a small act of discipline to keep your hand off the trigger when the target walks by twice on its own. That weekend, I drove to my mother's house because my spine needed the memory of a kitchen table that had never lied to me. She left the porch light on. "You look like yourself," she said at the door. What did I look like before? Like a brilliant woman trying to be polite enough to survive. We ate pie standing up. I told her the story in the shorthand daughters use with mothers who have listened for decades. She asked one question when I finished. What do you want that isn't revenge? Clean air, I said. And for the room to stop lying to me, she nodded. Then don't bring fire. Bring windows. On the drive back, I rehearsed a calm voice in the rearview mirror and realized it was mine. Monday, 7:55 a.m. The glass room again. The skyline again. My nameplate now sat beside Karen's. Mark arrived early, grin rehearsed. Big day, he said. Every day's big when you tell the truth. He smirked. Still doing sermons? I didn't answer. I didn't have to. The truth was waiting in a small silver rectangle in my folder. At 9, chairs filled. Nova's audit team. Our finance, compliance, IT. Karen at the center like a winter that knew how to end things. Mark began. We're proud of our momentum. Our numbers speak louder than, generated by whom? Karen asked. The analytics team, he said, under my direction. That's odd, I said, plugging in my laptop. My dashboard, connected to Nova's server, shows something else. 2 screens again. My graph hummed. His shouted, note the 19.3% variance, I said. Manual override on user Mark Sullivan. Sync error, he laughed, thin now. The server's been patchy since you lost admin access? I asked. Karen folded her hands. It revoked your credentials weeks ago. Legacy tokens expire in 48 hours. Silence arrived, heavy and very clean. Nova's auditor cleared his throat. So these figures were manually entered after lockout? That's not, he began. Explain, Karen said. His mouth opened, then closed. I clicked a short loop. Screen capture, time-stamped 1 week after his suspension. User Mark Sullivan. Action, manual data override. The projection lit his face the color of consequence. This wasn't captured by me, I said. It was captured by the system he told me to build. Karen closed her folder. We're done here for today. To me, send everything to compliance. To him, HR will follow up. The room exhaled. The city didn't notice. He was gone by afternoon, suspended in sentences that used effective immediately the way surgeons use scalpels. The email didn't say my name, but I could hear it in the quiet that followed. People wrote short notes, proud of you. You did the right thing. Hannah only sent a photo of a blueberry muffin with a single candle. It was ridiculous. It almost made me cry. Karen asked for a debrief. I brought the folder. We didn't use paper clips. She listened without interruption, then said, You have a gift for not shaking. I shake, I said. Just not where he can see. Keep it that way, she said. There will be a broader meeting soon. Bring red door 9, I nodded. She stood. And Melissa, yes? Nice work. I didn't realize how hungry I'd been for those 2 words until they landed. On my way out, I stopped in the empty conference room, the one where someone turned me into a punchline. The table was bare, chairs aligned, the air scrubbed of last week's perfume. I set the lipstick in the center, crimson proof, shade Thumbers 09, and let it sit there like a quiet monument. Then I picked it up, slipped it into my bag, and watched my reflection steadier than I remembered. Back at my desk, I drafted an email to Karen with both versions, the logs and the internal meeting clip. I added one line at the end because I needed to hear it written down. Transparency builds trust. Manipulation destroys it. I clicked send and felt something settle. Not triumph. Alignment. My phone buzzed an hour later. Micromessage number 2, board packet goes out Friday. You'll be copied on the real version. Stay quiet. Bring proof. Outside, the day had the color of waiting. Inside, the USB lay in my folder, small as a secret that knew its own worth. When I left the building, the air smelled faintly like fresh paint, the way rooms do when someone has decided to start again. The boardroom felt different the next week. Same glass walls, same skyline pretending to care, but the air no longer belonged to him. Karen sat at the center. I took the seat beside her. On the table, a single folder marked Red Doe 9, Mark entered late, tie loosened. His smile looked ironed on. Morning, he said, as if mornings were still his to command. Sit, Karen said. She didn't raise her voice. She never had to. The projector hummed alive. We'll review the findings, she said. Melissa, I nodded, inserted the USB, and watched the red light pulse once. Slide 1. 2 charts side by side. Internal versus verified. Slide 2. Modification logs. User, Mark Sullivan. Slide 3. The screen capture of him overwriting data from a revoked admin account. He shifted. This is taken out of context. Then put it back in context, Karen said. Explain the 19.3% variance. I optimized the visuals for client comprehension. By altering data? By simplifying presentation. Is that what you call changing truth? The room went still. Somewhere outside, a phone rang and stopped. I let the silence do the work. Then I said, for 6 months, the Nova campaign ran on actual numbers. ROI 412%, retention 56%, engagement up 24%. These slides show a fantasy that never existed. His hands flattened against the table. You're trying to make me look corrupt. I'm not trying, I said. You did that yourself. Karen closed her folder. We're concluding the review. Effective immediately, Brightleaf terminates your contract for data falsification and conduct unbecoming of leadership. His mouth opened, but no sound came out. For the first time, the room did not laugh. That was public reckoning number 1. By noon, the internal memo went live. No euphemisms, no safe words. Termination, Mark Sullivan. Effective immediately, HR followed with a line that would become company folklore. Integrity is not negotiable. People stopped whispering and started talking. I didn't gloat. I listened. There's a difference. Hannah appeared at my desk holding 2 coffees. So, Vice President Harper, she teased softly, how does justice taste? Like decaf, I said. You can sleep on it, she grinned. You know, you didn't just take him down. You rewrote the rules. Maybe. But it didn't feel like victory yet. Revenge that ends with applause is just theater. Real revenge leaves the system cleaner than you found it. That afternoon, Karen called me into her office. The skyline stretched behind her like evidence. The board's impressed, she said. They're considering a permanent promotion. Vice President of Operations and Integrity. I smiled faintly. Integrity as a department? Someone has to make it mean something again. She pushed a file across the desk. One more thing. Nova wants you to lead their audit next quarter. They trust you. That word, trust, landed softer than I expected, like rain after metal. Take the weekend off, she said, You've earned a quieter kind of noise. When I left, the receptionist stopped me. Ms. Harper? She handed me a small package, black velvet unmarked. Inside, my lipstick, red 09, and a card in Karen's handwriting. Proof never fades. I laughed quietly. The kind that shakes nothing loose but puts everything back in place. That weekend I went home. The air smelled of cinnamon and laundry soap. My mother was baking again, her version of therapy. You look lighter, she said. Justice is low calorie, I said. She smiled. You sound like yourself. We ate pie standing up again, same as before. What did you learn? She asked. That peace isn't the absence of conflict, I said. It's the presence of truth. She nodded. And? That grace isn't silence. She cut another slice, handed it to me. Then talk. Loudly when it matters. Her words became micro-message number 3 in my head. Silence can look graceful, but it kills the wrong person first. Monday returned, but the building felt new, like someone had washed its air. The nameplate outside my office now read, Melissa Harper, Vice President, Operations and Integrity. A small plant sat on my desk with a note, Grow Anyway. KI opened the dashboard. Campaigns under my new team, 13 of them, each labeled by contributor. No anonymous brilliance, no stolen slides. The numbers were modest but honest. ROI 187%, churn down 22%, employee satisfaction up 36%. Progress doesn't need glitter. It needs oxygen. At 10 a.m., I called an open meeting. No script, no slides. Here's the new policy, I said. Credit goes where work lives. Data is public inside the company. And if someone turns you into a mascot, walk off the float. The room exhaled laughter, the real kind. That was public reckoning number 2. Evenings are different now. My office window reflects someone I recognize. I still wear lipstick, same shade, red 09, but now it's armor I choose, not proof I need. Sometimes I open the drawer and look at the USB. It stays there. Quiet, like an old witness that's finally off duty. When people ask if I got my revenge, I say no. I got clarity. Revenge fades. Clarity doesn't. I teach my team one last rule before every project. Dignity is not a reward. It's a setting. Keep it on. If you've ever been the person who did the work while someone else got the credit, this story is yours. If you've ever been told to smile while being erased, remember, receipts age better than charm. And if you're still in that room, where power mistakes silence for consent, walk out carrying your proof. Not your shame, because the prettiest face is the one that never flinches. Subscribe to Office Revenge Files, where justice is quiet, proof is louder, and every story ends clean.